Welcome to the Cyclical Doula podcast. I'm Emma, a certified Sympto-Pro instructor, a fertility awareness educator, and your guide to fertility coaching and reproductive health education from menarche to menopause and all the different types of motherhood in between. If you're seeking a natural, science-backed approach to managing your fertility, understanding your cycle, or simply connecting with your body in a new way, you're in the right place. Each episode is designed to empower you with the tools, knowledge, and confidence you need to thrive in your unique journey. Quick disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice or individualized charting support. For specific guidance, please consult with your healthcare provider or fertility awareness instructor. Now, let's dive into today's topic.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch heart.
Welcome back to the Cyclical Doula podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with Danniel Worthen Cullumber, a trauma therapist, holistic practitioner, and a doctoral researcher whose work gently but powerfully bridges science, spirit, and our stories our bodies hold. Danniel is the founder and CEO of Willow Medela Wellness, and she guides women through trauma-informed healing in a way that honors the nervous system, the cycles of the body, and the deeper cultural narratives that often shape how we see ourselves. Her approach blends somatic awareness, meaning-centered storytelling, and decolonization lens, all with the goal of helping women come home to themselves after years of disconnection. We today are going to talk about all of those things, and I'm so excited to dive into that with you, Danniel. If you're listening and you've ever felt disconnected from your body, unsure of what it's trying to tell with you, I hope this conversation feels like a deep exhale. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Emma.
Awesome. Well, great. I'm so excited to have you here. Would you like to share any more about who you are as a person, either in your professional work or outside of that research and clinical stuff that you do as well?
Absolutely. As you said, my name is Danniel Worthen Cullumber. I am the CEO and founder of Willow Medela Wellness, LLC. But I started this recently during my doctorate program at Simmons University, as I'm getting my doctorate in social work. And so I love helping people. I've been always in the mental health community, but I also was doing a lot of the paranormal and holistic stuff, and I was bridging a lot of those gaps. And one of the things that I was learning was how our bodies respond to our traumas, our energies, our symptomologies, even pseudo symptoms. So I've had my own experiences with my own narrative of trauma and healing. So it's just part of who I am and what I breathe. So that's a little about me, really, in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's so great. I've been asking all of my guests here, what is some rhythm or ritual that really supports you on a regular basis or you always go back to?
One of my favorite things to do is taking a long Epsom salt bath, usually with chamomile or mint or eucalyptus, or even just any holistic smell that I'm feeling the mood for if I'm not feeling good or more energy. So and I'll listen to my YouTube videos and then I'll also pause and just do a lot of deep breathing. A lot of breath work is another thing that I do.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. What a good thing. I wish we had a bath in our house because that's one of the things. I love baths too. But that's great. What else is filling up your cup lately?
Lately, especially, I just had my birthday, so I was sick
happy
recently.
birthday.
Thank you. You probably can hear a little something in my throat still, but I had to fill my cup up a lot with hot drinks.
Yeah.
And especially aroma and with the weather changing, I love that. So metaphorically filling my cup up, I'm drinking my cup.
Yeah.
And my cats. I love my cats. I love dogs too, but I have many cats and also spending time with my family
Yeah.
because they're young adults and our time is precious when I get to have them.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Well, it seems like you've lived this like really cool blend of more like clinical work and then the spiritual practice and your personal experience as well. What led you into this approach and how you're working with people now?
Well, uh, going through social work. Well, I used to be a recreational therapist back in the day. I mean, in my early 20s, and I was
Yeah.
having my children, and I was working with special needs and elderly, and also chronically ill clients, and just their mental
Hmm.
health. And I was considered the fun therapy, but
Yep.
I transitioned to social work, and one of the things I learned was they did not teach us how to do self care.
Yeah.
And that was huge, and of course, as being a mom too, and going to school and juggling all those, roles,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to cope. If I didn't have healthy supports like, I did, I don't think I would have managed as well, and that was the other part, was like, there was so much information out there, but to narrow down to what was happening, but my body was responding not good. I would
Mm,
just shut down, and
yeah.
Um, when I went into my master's program, I had g grief hit me strong before 2020, 2019, last
Hmm.
for family members in a matter of 9 months. And
Wow.
I was in the middle of my master's program, and I was like, "Okay, I need to know how to take care of myself to regulate, let alone tell my clients." So that's how I ended in
Yeah.
learning about breath work and stuff, and that somatic work as well. And I was like, "They have the research, we're just saying the same thing with different languages. So how do we bridge
Mm,
that?" So as I was becoming, starting to be a mental health therapist, I was like, okay, my body's responding this way and that way. But I also had another tragedy happening during that process where I had a sexual, violent assault on me that was also happened to some other victims. I was one of four women and we were all responding negatively, and I was, like, going and if I hadn't already started doing the work, I wouldn't have healed as
mm,
fast, and there was
yeah.
still a process,
Of
but
course.
even though therapy and everything works, but my body was still reactive, and I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta figure out what's going on here," because if
Hmm.
I can't regulate, I can't help regulate my clients. Don't
Right.
wanna put my trauma on them and vice versa.
Right.
So, it was a lot of
Yeah.
accountability and looking at what was going on. And that's when I also start realizing too that our menstrual cycle and our biorhythms respond to those things too. We can be more
Yeah.
emotional and people respond to stressors differently based on that
Hmm.
biorhythm. So just a
Yeah.
lot of awareness that came in and I was like going, okay,
Oh, for sure.
I got to educate myself. So when my client has a question, I can go, hey, this is my observation. I'm not going to prescribe anything. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going, look at that, and or let's start
Yeah.
tracking that, and maybe we might get some answers. And a lot of my clients start regulating just having a why to a possible question.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
amazing how that empowerment gave
Hmm.
people, and that it
Absolutely.
also then this so empowered me to continue what I'm doing.
Hey, friend, quick pause before we keep going with today's episode. If you've been curious about learning to chart your cycle, but the whole thing feels just a little overwhelming, I made something just for you. It's my 14-day charting challenge. It's a completely free experience inside my private community. For 2 weeks, you'll have the opportunity to go through simple daily practices that will help you tune into your body's natural rhythms without pressure, without perfection, and without needing to know anything ahead of time. You'll get a chart to use, 3 short, confident building lessons, and a supportive space where you can actually start to understand what your body is showing you. It's all bite-sized and totally doable, even if life feels super full. So if you've been wanting to learn a fertility awareness-based method or just feel more connected to your cycle, come join us. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or going to my website, emma.com, and clicking on the free charting challenge. All right, let's get back to the episode. I love that. That's so helpful. And I think, yeah, so many of us, like, we don't think in that all the time about the fact that, like, so much of this is just like awareness and mental awareness, and then realizing what's going on with our bodies on the interior part. And like you said, like, there's so much with our menstrual cycles and the hormone changes that happen throughout a menstrual cycle that can really influence, just as women, how that changes, and how we can approach that through all sorts of different lenses, but especially just with the work that you're doing, to just have that awareness in that different parts throughout that cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I learned was trust your instincts with your body. I mean, you
Yeah.
can always hear about the person that go, the doctor wasn't listening to me. I knew something was wrong. I just
Mm-hmm.
actually just recently had a client that I've been working with off and on for several years. And it's more for maintenance that I see them.
Yeah.
But their high stress level job on top of premenopause age
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing coming in. They spent their whole life being tired and having surgeries and injuries and recovery. And when I first met them, I said, I guarantee that there is something wrong that somebody's missing. And once they find
Yeah.
out it's like that Planko with the game where it goes, everything
Yeah.
falls into place. They
Mm-hmm.
recently said, we got a diagnosis ago. Do you remember the day I told you we would find one? Not, no, I wasn't going to
Yeah.
find one, but I was going to help
Right.
them as a process going
Through that
through
process. Yeah.
this journey. And it was so liberating for them. And it's like, it didn't take the situation away, but the
Mm-hmm.
trauma response to the unknown makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with your doctorate work in regards to the way that you're seeing this played out with women's healing, maybe, and how
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could talk about that forever, but
Yeah. So when I went into my doctorate, we have to do a capstone project. And one of the things I wanted to do is look at trauma responses and
yeah.
how we regulate. I had already created a template of breathing coping strategies that help us take the edge off. And
Yeah.
I had done knew knew about neural feedback, which I'm not trained in, but I had referred clients to it because it
Yeah.
helped them so much. And also, I do accelerated resolution therapy, which
Okay.
it's a bilateral uh, therapy that helps with PTSD, anxiety, depression, etc. It was
Mm-hmm.
discovered by accident through EMDR, so it's not
Okay.
EMDR. But what I was finding was I wanted to figure out how these kind of immersions help us regulate. And when as I've been going through my doctorate program, I've also been looking at how uh, decolonization of that narrative of cultural responses to how people respond to our dysregulations. And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, as a social worker, I'm always looking at the global response, like
Yeah.
and cultural. So we have to have that respect to the cultural narrative that goes with it, because there's traditions that go with it, but it doesn't mean it's accurate or healthy. So we're decolonizing it, like we're trying to
Yeah.
give the voice back to them. But what I was finding is kind of like we know that people of color do tend to get discriminated against the pain tolerance, um, higher death rate during delivery.
Yeah.
Um, um, the supports are not always there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hearing all of this, and by doing that, I'm learning to help educate what that
Yeah.
is happening, and I am offering that in my practice at Willow Medela Wellness. Is we're bringing in also that spirituality part that they can look at. So a lot of people like, I can't talk about grandma, Nana's special holistic medicine of putting salt under something,
Yeah.
that seemed to work
Hmm.
because traditional medicine poo-poos it,
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but it always worked, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
But there are signs why it works. They're just not saying what it is, because the
Yeah.
brown circle. So I was looking at like how can we allow that safety to have that
Yeah.
speaking? Because
Hmm.
a lot of us just want to be heard, but
For
not just
sure.
heard. They want to be listened to,
Hmm.
and that's what I was finding. How do I bridge that communication without putting my lens as
Yeah.
a Caucasian woman on them from Utah?
Yeah.
I wanna be respectful and, not just learn from them, but also support and empower them with it.
Yeah. I love that. That sounds amazing and sounds like there's so many different aspects to that you could really cover. I think, what does this look like in practice for somebody if they're thinking about like looking at it from like a feminine viewpoint of and the wellness aspect of it? What does that look like practically?
Well, it's individualized, actually.
Yeah.
It's about the person. I'm
Yeah, that
coming
makes
from
sense.
I'm gonna meet them where they're at. So let's just gonna do a scenario. So in Utah,
Yeah.
I can practice mental health as a therapist, but because of
Hmm.
insurance and stuff, they don't do life coaching and things like that.
Yeah.
And since I don't have right currently have a license in other states, I can do a holistic version of that
Right.
as a little coach, like internationally. So when the person comes in, I'm going, okay, what is the currently what's happening? So what I'm looking at all the domains, not just the day to
Yeah.
day, but what is in there what I'm hearing like, oh, my mom stressed me out because of A, B, and C. Why? Well,
Yeah.
I don't do like them or So there's all these things that I'm hearing. I'm just kind of looking at the spider web of how if they're responding this way, what is their body showing? I'm like going, and then, but also I'm teaching them maintenance by
Hmm.
teaching them how to do strategies
Yeah.
or coping skills to help them regulate on the day to day. The nice thing is we want a quick um, response to things. We want something immediately to relieve ourselves, and that's where we
Yeah.
bio swing to the negative just to get through the day, like
Hmm.
the eating, the aggressive yelling at people to road rage, and also um I'm gonna just throw in there overspending, just little things like that.
I like.
So, I created a template of coping strategies that is both grounding and helps take the edge off. It's not a cure, but it helps us feel empowered when we can take the edge off where we get to pause for a moment. And most people say, take a minute to breathe. Well, I don't know about you, but most of the time when I'm dealing with something, I don't have a minute. So mine
Yeah.
stuff's actually 20 seconds to take the edge off. It's really fast activating.
I love that. That's so good. Okay. When you're talking about this, what do you think, or when you're like what you're seeing in your work, do you feel like the awareness of being in a menstrual cycle and that like cyclical part of our bodies, how is that intertwined with this regulation that you're talking about with our nervous system?
Well, this is how I explain to my clients, so I'll just kind of bring it from there.
Yeah.
Sometimes when, we're feeling off, I will sometimes check with my clients going, "Hey, weren't you saying you were, like, getting sick or you're just recovering from being
Yeah.
sick?" Or I go, there seems I will start seeing a pattern within, a little bit where it's like, "Hey, have you ever noticed that this is worse closer or during or after your monthlies?" And they pause and like, "Hmm, maybe?" It's kinda like
Yeah.
like craving carbs or sugars, and, we are more emotional. I say we get spicy because we don't know what kind of
Yeah.
flavor we're gonna be. And so, I ask my clients, I go, "Hey, the next time you go through your cycle,
Yeah.
See if you notice a change. So here's the thing. I want them to judge it because we always shame ourselves too. And that's with our cycles.
Mhm.
We shame that we're cramping, that we're bloated, we can't sleep well, our face is breaking out or whatever, or our hair is
Yeah.
dry or more grease during that time. And so I teach them to do an observation. And that
Mhm.
observation helps them kind of gauge. So I'm not asking them to like necessarily clock everything, but I'm like, Did you notice that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And now that I'm seeing this, I'm starting to see this power that I've done this with that. And we're like, great. Now we know that. So let's see how that works with your anxiety or your depression. And
Yeah.
or is if you're on a medication, is it affecting your cycle? Or most people, I've had people where they're on a form of birth control. They're like, I'm
Yeah.
not menstruating. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're still going to go through a cycle. And I say it's just kind of like the moon. I'm going to use the moon as example. Every 28
Mhm.
days. Well, the moon controls the tidal waves of water,
Yeah.
and we are pretty much water. So we have a biorhythm like everybody else. And I used to joke
Mhm.
that when I was a kid, my siblings and I, we literally could clock when my mother would turn into a werewolf with a full moon. It
Yeah.
was our joke because we literally could tell she didn't have to tell us. We could look at go for the sky like, "Oh, it's about full moon. Mom's gonna be kind of raunchy."
Oh,
So even
man.
as a little
That's pretty,
kid,
yeah.
we started seeing this happening.
Yeah.
So when I communicate that with my clients, I also ask them, "Are you noticing also how your body's responding more to sensitivity to
Mm.
temperatures, body aches,
Yeah.
headaches, because our blood pressure changes too because we're holding more water and density. It's like I go, "You're feeling more blood." I'm like, "Your scalp goes up like almost 5 pounds just by the water weight period release."
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we talk about the tail end when we're going into premenopause. Our cycles are going to be like kind of like this.
Yeah.
I also point out I also point out that you also have to look at if have you had problems with eating or exercise,
Mhm.
that will affect your menstrual cycle as well, and how you regulate and how even if your body is you're having nutrition, it can't metabolize correctly because it needs something
Yeah.
to produce something because our body is a homeostasis. It's an
Right.
ecosystem, and we have to look at that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I feel like there's so many different aspects of that that really can hit home for a whole bunch of different people. Um, how do you feel like when you're working with somebody that um it seems like a lot of times people are coming into this right, they're reframing and learning more about themselves. How do you feel like that they're learning to rebuild their trust with their body through that process? And I'm sure it's dependent upon the specific person, but is there something that you like continually see that comes back for people as a common theme?
If it got distorted in the questioning, so the reframing of how they look at themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they have this narrative that they're somebody that they want to become and who they are, which is not usually what they're really uh, projecting.
Yeah.
Okay, and a good scenario is it's called we have that lens where we're on show for everybody on stage, and we have this
Yeah.
anxiety that we're being critiqued. So we're always critiquing ourselves. Am I showing up? Is my hair right? Is my skin blotchy? Or am I saying enough? Oh, I said too much. So that reframing is going, hey, what are you like when you don't feel like you're on stage?
Mm,
Tell me about that person.
yeah.
Tell me about where you don't have to put on the show, put the makeup on. What are you when you're gooba uber? Like, in your
Mhm.
pajamas and you're comfortable with yourself,
Mhm.
where you're in your safety, and I get to know that person to help bring that person to shine.
Yeah. I love
No.
that.
And as I said, it's all individualized, but each
Right.
person wants the same thing. They want connection and affection. But
Right.
the first people we got to have that with is with ourselves. So we're developing a
Hmm.
relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. That's so important. I think that so much of the time we, just like as a general society of women, are not seeing that on a regular basis, that we're not connecting with ourselves in that way. And that's something that just having these conversations can bring that to light, to remind women to like do that, to work on that and have those conversations and to focus on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, that was one of those things that I discovered by accident along the
Yeah.
my healing journey, and as going into mental health and uh, trauma therapy and things like that was what is that relationship to ourselves? We always are trying to have a relationship with somebody else or communication, but it's like I kind of how often are we internalizing more? Like we'll be nicer to our worst enemy than ourselves, which is
Yeah.
most of us would agree. But like that shame and guilt, I'm like,
Mhm.
I was like, therapistay.com has this wonderful thing. It's a green flag and a red flag of what is forgiveness and what is not. I was like, man, I wish I had this years ago. But when I was looking through it
Oh,
on how to forgive somebody, I was like, let's internalize it for ourselves.
yeah.
Like, you can change the relationship or end it. What it means by that is how you show up for yourself in that communication or how you perceive yourself. And it starts to change how we even look at body image.
Mhm.
And, and the guilt, shame of being a parent or even not being a
Yeah.
parent or a grandparent.
Yeah.
So, no matter what state of life you're at, that is still
Mhm.
something because if we model that for ourselves, er it it's going to equal outside because most of the time when we're interacting with people, you and I are interacting, it's called outsourcing. Don't wanna shame outsourcing, but we're just trying to figure it out through other people because that's our only references.
Right, right.
So, that's why I go back to the observation. So I like, "Hey, it's like observe." It's the communication, like, say, are we talking at people versus at? Because if we're talking with people, we're listening. That's the
Yeah.
same thing with ourselves. Are we talking to talking at our body, like, "You need to change this, gotta do that," or are we talking with our body? "Okay, I'm a little sensitive. That's okay. This is
Mhm.
hard right now. It's temporary. We have enough fresh persons that it's gonna be okay, but it's
Yeah.
okay right now. It feels hard." And try not to beat ourselves up about it
Yeah.
because we have too much energy already spent on trying to heal, let alone carry the negative with us.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you hope listeners understand about their healing after trauma and doing this work?
The fact that they're gonna they're gonna shift their lives so their quality of life's better. So the thing about trauma is we all go through an event that's a negative aspect. And the trauma event or situation is not defining us, but it can empower us.
Mhm.
And let's talk about the women who um didn't get the support they did postpartum from a delivery
Yeah.
or had a miscarriage. That's one of those things I had discovered along my journey was we don't have grief support for women who've had
Mm.
miscarriages. We have it for stillborns, a loss of a baby. But to us, no matter that cycle, infertility or fertility, that grief is real. And there's not grief support for the individual, let alone their partners who are involved.
Yeah.
And so what can you gain from it? Change that narrative that it's not taboo. It's
Yeah.
not a stigma. And just because somebody says it's normal,
Mhm.
stop saying it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's natural, but is it normal to want to have something you lost or want something you can't have? Of course it is.
Right.
But the grief that consistently defines you in our body blocks those things
Yeah.
because we deny it. Um, I recently got sign on a YouTube person that says, community that don't give a dang for premenopausal and menopause women. We don't give a thing. And they start listing things. And she looks all she has the 3 glasses and things. And I've been enjoying the funniness of it. If we can start
Yeah.
enjoying the hormones, nobody says, they're like, oh, that's normal that you're 20% of the time you're going to lose this. I'm like, Ryan, that 20% of people who go through that, that's life changing. That's trauma.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Don't dismiss that. Don't put us in a category and put us in as a number. Oh, you need hormone therapy. How about you can give me a glass of water and just give me a tissue and go, hey, you're feeling crappy. Okay.
Yeah,
That's healing. That's somebody saying, oh, get over it is traumatic.
absolutely.
Disregarding is traumatic. And I want to empower anybody who feels they need to have a voice. And it goes back to feminism. And that can be with the masculines too, because they need to help advocate for us as well, because that's also changed the decolonization of the ranks and our voice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Oh, so as we're kind of coming to an end of recording this, what
Okay.
else were you hoping to kind of bring to this conversation or have people leave with?
You are the best person you can ever be, always, as long as you're growing. Please allow that.
I love that. So how can people work with you specifically if they're
Oh,
jiving with you?
yeah, absolutely. You can go to my website, www.willowmedelawellness.com, or email me at info@willowmedela.com. And you can schedule an appointment or email me and we can set something up, because I do a lot of
Awesome.
phone and virtual appointments, and I do a few in sessions in my office here.
That's awesome.
So,
That sounds so good. Great. Well,
yeah,
it's been such a joy talking with you. I am so glad that we had some of this conversation, and I'm sure we could talk a bunch longer about it as well. I'll be sure to link all of those things in the show notes as well. But thanks
I
for being
appreciate the
here.
opportunity. Thank you for having me
Yeah.
so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for tuning into the Cyclical Doula podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much if you shared it with a friend or posted it on Instagram and tagged me at Cyclical Doula. If you've got a question you'd love to hear answered on the show, head over to emma.com/podcast to submit it. And don't forget, leaving a quick review really helps this podcast reach more people. Plus, if you upload a screenshot of your review on my website, I'll send you a special surprise as a thank you. You'll find all the details in the show notes about this show today, and I really appreciate you being here and listening in. I'll see you next time.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads, from motherhood's highs to charting the low. Your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found.
Just a disclaimer and a reminder that any guests on the show are views of their own and not necessarily views of Emma LLC or Emma Goff herself. Thanks so much.